Hey guys, it's Jane. It's Friday today, so I'm here to do a quick Friday reads, and I am going to try and keep it quick. I finished 3 books this past week. Going Postal by Pratchett, which was really fun. I'll probably try and read the other ones of the Moist von Lipwig books. If you haven't read the Discworld books before and you're put off by the fact that there's so many, like it's just this enormous long series, you need to understand that it's really not a series, like a sequential that you have to read 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. Almost all of these books work as standalones. Literally, almost all of them work as standalones. Essentially, it's a whole bunch of interwoven stories in the same world. And that's really and truly the best way to understand these books. There are a number of storylines that follow particular characters, and if you are the sort of person who worries about these things, you might want to, if you're going to read a storyline, just pick a character and read through their storyline. In terms of finding out where the storylines start, the individual characters' storyline starts, there's a pretty widely known diagram of the Discworld reading order, which I'll link below, that tells you each of the different books, how they fit into the kind of mess that is the Discworld history. So I'll link that below. But seriously, almost any of these books can be read as standalone. So please don't let the fact of the million-volume series put you off. The second thing that I finished this week was this one, The Wandering Fire by Gabriel, which is the second of the Fiona books. I've been reading this as part of a read-along launched by Sabrina from Stay Cucino, and this is where I'm just going to say I'm really sorry, Sabrina. It's not for me. It's not for me, and I don't think I'm going to be continuing. I don't think I'm going to read the third one because I just haven't been enjoying it. I wrote about it in my Goodreads, and yeah. The third thing that I finished this week is a Ken MacLeod called The Night Sessions. This turned out it was actually a reread for me. I'd forgotten that I'd read it. I found it on my e-reader and I thought I hadn't read it, and I was looking for something to do while I was still working through Dostoyevsky, which I'm going to get to again in a minute. But it turns out it is a reread for me. It's just both the name and the cover art are so unevocative, I just didn't remember it. But yeah, it's a really interesting science fiction story that weaves together themes about robots, self-aware robots, like Turing test entity, artificial intelligences, that kind of robot, and faith and politics. There's also a bit of a murder mystery, sort of structural elements going through. It was a really interesting read. Yeah, sort of the question that it poses is, if you have self-aware artificial intelligences, what kind of religion or faith structure would they develop? Would they have none, or would they have something? And if they had something, would it be the same or different? And how would it be different? It's a really, really interesting premise and quite well-written book. So there you go, The Night Sessions. I've forgotten about that one, and it was a good one. So that's the 3 that I finished. I'm still working through Dostoyevsky, the Brothers Karamazov. I've got through the part that wasn't working on my e-reader, and I'm back on my e-reader, so I am making pretty good forwards progress, and I am actually really enjoying it. Structurally, it's quite different to most things that you read, apart from the fact that it's long and it's in translation. The structure of it is, there's just these long speeches. There's lots of long speeches. There's little bits of action interspersed with really long speeches. And not even like dialogue. Alexei, who's the youngest brother, is pretty much, I think, he's not actually like the point of view character in terms of the tense that it's written in, but he's the point of view character in terms of we're basically following him and we see things basically from his point of view, and he's the audience for all these speeches. So we have both of his brothers who are both in sort of strange places in their lives, have given these huge, long explanations of themselves and their thoughts about different things to Alexei. There's his father as well, who's done the same thing. And these are like 20, 30-page speeches where somebody just stands there and talks, and tells stories about things for this huge chunk of the book. And there's also his storets. I'm in the middle of sort of the last words of the storet. Alexei is kind of a novice or a postulant or something at the local monastery. He hasn't actually taken vows, but he's living in the monastery. And he is basically acting as a body servant to this storets. And a storets is kind of like a Russian sadhu or something. Like he's acknowledged to have spiritual authority, great spiritual authority, but none of that is actually through any of the normal hierarchical church channels. Rasputin apparently was thought of as a storets. So this thing that's sort of unique to Russian Christianity, apparently. And there's this storets at the monastery who Alexei is it Alexei? Aloysia? I don't know. Everybody calls everybody different names. I just sort of have it's him. Anyway, so the youngest brother, he and the storets have formed this really close emotional bond. And the storets is old and sick and weak and dying. And this is kind of the night before he dies. And there is this, there's almost an entire section of the book is things that the storets says on this night before he dies. I'm still at the part of the book where I'm rereading it. I remember an event that happens shortly after the storets dies. That's the last event that I remember in the book. But because of the structure of the book, I have no idea how much further into the book that's going to actually happen. But yeah, so I'm about, what does that say, 38% of the way through, and I am still really enjoying it, but it is going to take me a bit longer. I think odds are I'm still going to be showing you this next Friday, but maybe I can finish it this week. I don't know. The other thing, I just started this last night, The Secret History of Wonder Woman by Jill Lepore. This is a non-fiction book where it's, so far, at any rate, it's basically the history of the guy, Marston, William Moulton Marston, who created Wonder Woman. And he is like a bit of a crazy person. Well, he was specifically unique and a character and all those things that you say. And yeah, Wonder Woman, I had a bit of a thing for her when I was little. I think almost all girls do, because she's the only female superhero of any note whatsoever. At least she was when I was a kid. And the politics and the ideology that's involved in the Wonder Woman universe is really interesting. That's those two, Dostoyevsky and Wonder Woman, is going to keep me well and truly solidly happy throughout the weekend. It's a long weekend here, so I don't know if that means I get more or less time to read. I can never tell. I would love to hear what you guys are reading. I hope you're all well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.